Hello, hello, everyone. We're once again with another episode of Chromatic Minds. This time we have the lovely Peter. How are you, Peter?
I'm doing great, thank you. How are you doing, Smadar?
I'm doing perfect. I'm so excited to talk to you because you have such a unique experience with synesthesia and one that I don't think my mirror touch synesthesia is strong as as it is for others with mirror touch synesthesia, but you have mirror pain synesthesia. And
Yes. Yeah,
I'd really like to learn more about this.
that's really interesting. Actually, it took me years to kind of realize that there was something different about me. Like Dylan said yesterday, he thought everybody saw things the way he did. The same with you. When you told your teacher about how you saw the words in colors, you thought everybody saw things that way. And
Exactly.
but for me, it was different. I felt, I think when I was around 10 years old, um, I grew up believing I had depression. Um, I never really knew what was really going on with me. So from an early age, I was obviously on medication for ADHD, on Ritalin. And, the story on that, it kind of, it alters your brain so much.
Yeah.
You don't really know how to learn how to cope with what's actually happening with you. So, so my whole life, I was under the wrong impression of what was going on with me. I thought I was this really depressed kid. Um, I was bullied a lot, but I don't think that was the biggest cause of my depression. I think at that stage, I was just, now I realize I was just so um, affected by other people's emotions. Sometimes so much so I wouldn't know whether what I'm feeling is it your pain, is it my pain, and I never really realized I was an empath, that I had this much empathy. Um, it's hard for me to deal with my emotions on top of everyone else's. Now it's different, now I kind of understand and manage it. But when I was a kid, I never could watch painful things. You couldn't show me, hey, I broke my arm. You can't show me the video or I can't, I can't do it. And when YouTube came out and you could see all these prank videos where people fall and break something, or you see MMA fights and stuff, I just couldn't. I was in so much physical pain that I couldn't watch it. And even to today, even when we watched The Good Doctor, which I loved watching, every time when it's a traumatic event or an operation, I can't watch. I can't watch it. I'm in physical pain when I watch it, and I never really realized it until I think about 4 years ago, um, when I just came off of methamphetamine. I was on 12 years. For 12 years, I was addicted to drugs, and it took me such a long time to get clean. And I never really realized why I was on drugs. It was in a manner self-medication. I never knew why. I just thought maybe I was useless. That thought that I kept having in my mind, there's something wrong with me.
Yeah.
And when I quit drugs, I realized there has to be something different wrong with me, because I didn't need to go to rehab to quit meth, which is not something that happens very likely. A lot of people, when they're on meth, it's a very difficult thing to kick. And so I realized there was something wrong, different with my brain, how I perceived things. And one day I was on YouTube and I can't even remember what I was searching for. And I saw this video about people talking about how they felt other people's pain. And I was like, that sounds like me. And I started researching it, and I realized I have it much different. I have it much different than other people. There's certain things that I can't relate to, and there's certain things that I can really relate to. Yeah, that was quite different. When I grew up, my mom she coddled me. My mom was my protector. My dad was a very harsh person. He was loving, but he was very harsh. He was strict. Dutch. He was like this. Things has to be like this.
Hmm.
And so when I experienced certain emotions and stuff, my dad thought I was looking for attention.
Hmm.
And my mom, she tried to understand. She told me, you're just different, you're special, you're just sensitive. And I couldn't understand why. Why am I sensitive to when my mom is sad or when my dad is angry? Why am I feeling this, the same feeling they're feeling, but I'm not angry. I'm not really sad. Why am I feeling this?
Wow.
And so it took a very long time for me to kind of understand what is actually going on with me. I never really knew that, like you said, it's not really a condition or a disorder. If you now look at it, it's like I think I can call it a superpower in a sense. It's like a sixth sense, you know? And if you can manage it and you understand it, it will be a benefit for you and everybody around you.
You said something very powerful right now, because especially as children, when we don't know how to analyze the world around us emotionally, we tend to mirror our parents' subconscious and fight and argument and blame ourselves. And I cannot even fathom to imagine what's it like to be a synesthete child, feeling your adult, feelings and emotion that they might have towards each other, and thinking that it's you. The realization that this is what's interesting to me. First of all, I'd like to know, what is your earliest memory of mirror pain synesthesia? At which age was that, if you could recall?
I think every time we watched TV, I think as far back, I think as 10 years old, I think every time there was, I think especially when it is like, you remember that Rescue 911?
Yeah.
It was a huge series in South Africa that was made in America, but it was very traumatic. I couldn't stop myself from watching because it was exciting and I was curious. But it was so traumatic for me to watch it that I couldn't sleep. It gave me nightmares, and I was bothered by these emotions. I couldn't understand why.
Yeah, that show is chaotic, that show. It's like, it puts you in a stress. You're absolutely
right. Exactly. And then years later, when they start with the Vine, you remember when they start posting videos? Yeah. Like around the time of YouTube, but more mobile. And there was this one, it was a terrible video of, it's hard for me to say it, of the soldier being killed on camera, and it went viral so quickly before they could take it off. And I just happened upon the video.
Wow.
And it was a split second. Wow. I was traumatized for weeks. I'm actually shaking just thinking about it. It freaks me out.
I'm actually, in your voice. I hear it in your voice.
Really, it's a lot to deal with. I avoid specifically that. I think it's weird. I only understand now why I've got so much tattoos. It was a different way of me actually controlling and managing pain I choose. The pain I could actually choose. Exactly. And actually have something beautiful to show for it at the end of the day. But I never really realized. I never understood it. It's obviously much deeper levels, not just that, but so many different things. It's very exciting and scary because, learning to get to know yourself for the first time when you're 40, that's strange. That's strange for me. I thought I knew myself.
Yeah.
I thought I had depression. I realized now I do not have depression. I don't have depression. To me, depression does not exist.
No.
To me, it's a different. For me, it's a little different. When people are depressed, I can relate because I can feel that lost and anxious and confusion. I can feel it. Wow. Like I always say when I speak to people, when they sometimes people ask me for advice. I'm not usually an advice giver, but some of the people would ask, how are you dealing with certain emotions and stuff? So I can't really relate to you because you're a parent and you have kids, but I can feel this anxiety, and to deal with this anxiety, this is how I would deal with it. But it's different for parents because now parents also deal with their children's anxiety. They also take that, especially mothers, they take that upon themselves.
Sure.
So especially if you're synesthete, it's not something you can actually choose. It's something that just happens.
Wow. I wanted to say, there's so many things I want to talk to you about, but So you said that when you were 10 and you were watching TV, and of course that show you mentioned is so chaotic. To me as a synesthete with chromesthesia, watching this show, I would be feeling danger from just the colors of what soundtrack they chose. But
Yeah.
you realizing it, the first thing you don't realize as synesthetes, especially as a child, is that not everyone feel this way. And not everyone see the world the same way. So I honestly just have no one that I can talk to, that my feelings would be validated. And the story that I mentioned when I was in school, it's that semantics of a child that at that point where I chose to never speak this way again. And by not speaking this way again, I'm not validating my own emotion. I don't have the inner narration to be able to process what I'm going through, which is something that
Yeah.
happens to us as synesthetes on an older age, where we start realizing, hey, my brain is doing something
Yeah.
involuntarily. I was feeling
Yeah.
great just now, and now I'm feeling depressed by something else. This has nothing to do with me. And this is synesthesia. Not wanting to feel this way, but your brain forces you. Sometimes I talk to people and their voice is disgusting. And I cannot tell them this, that I want to throw up.
Yeah.
And I need to sit there and just, stop myself,
Manage it.
manage through it. But this is something that us in a state, and I wanted to say another thing. I feel emotions differently from other people. I see voices
Yeah.
and I see the frequency of everyone's of people's voice. And when you just talked and you became, emotional, it's like my breathing matched your breathing
Yeah.
pattern. And I felt it, and then your voice, it matched the color of your eyes. It became like light blue. And that is, I think, this was beautiful because you were able to express emotion now in a way that to me just looked so beautiful. And
Oh,
in your
wow.
book, you discuss a lot about community, creating a community, finding other individuals like you that you can express your feelings with. And I
Absolutely.
thought,
Absolutely.
and I thought about it with myself. And as a woman, us women experience pain different than men. We are used to pain because we would experience it every once a month when we go through our period and PMS and all the symptoms that we get. And I thought to myself, wow, I'm about to speak with a synesthete that would be able to feel me. I really have to feel good. So I think you have the unique ability to make people want to change. So even if someone is depressed, I would not inflict my mental situation on you. And this is something beyond verbal communication that
Yes.
we do as synesthetes. We are probably able to do that, to sync better with one another.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And automatically, without even trying,
Yeah,
without even
automatically.
trying.
Automatically without even trying. So first of all, I think I'm going to ask you something that many women would like to know. What's it like for you as a man to feel our pain?
It's a very uncomfortable feeling because in a way you sometimes have to realize, all right, I know what stomach ache feels like. I don't like getting stomach ache.
Yeah.
Cramps. I do not like it. Even normally when I have eaten something I shouldn't have eaten. So the only pain I can compare it to, because I've got no frame of reference when it comes to menstrual pains whatsoever.
Mm.
So the only thing I can compare it to, my frame of reference, is having an horrific stomach cramp at the times when you don't want it, in company, or when you're really feeling like, this could be a good day, but I'm feeling, I'm not feeling it. It could be a good day, and then the pain starts. So it is a very uncomfortable situation. You don't always know. I don't know how to react to it all I can do when my girlfriend is having cramps is kind of be supportive, bring a pillow, tuck it behind her back, warm water bottle for her. Reminder, if drink the pain pill before the pain comes,
Yeah, you're right.
So,
You're absolutely right.
but I do not want to go through it either, So I kind of try to be understanding in a way, which is difficult for men because I'm still a man, So it is
Right.
not always easy to relate, So I've got no frame of reference whatsoever.
You just describe it perfectly. It feels like being uncomfortable. It's not a pain that a person could not endure. Depends on which situation. Some women experience it in to a severe extent, but it
Yeah,
feels really uncomfortable. And you said something in your book. You've written a book about mirror pain synesthesia, which I would advise everyone here to go on and read it. I personally have Everend, and I've read it on Everend. You said something in your book. You said that being a synesthete and understanding the situation made you understand your triggers. And
yes.
we're living today in times where people are aware of triggers, and they
And
go
the truth is
through
so fast.
talking and paying professional people to do this. But a synesthete, and this is something I've seen from any synesthete I've spoken to, we find our own methods. We become our own therapists.
Yes.
What started like, what was it like for you to think, I need to understand my triggers? That's the way to solve this, to ease, not to
Yeah.
solve. Obviously, we live with this condition, it's forever, but to ease this.
Yes. I suppose it's, well, I think Dylan also said something, certain sounds can be very uneasy, certain humming noises, others you recognize and you hum with it. It's like, oh, that's in G or C. I do it like this. Deep freeze of mine is now humming in G. I can actually get the guitar and it will be G. I can feel it. So when it comes to uncomfortable things, sounds, people, smells, especially clothing, art, programs, when I feel it could be a trigger, I would avoid it. Like I would avoid confrontation. I would completely avoid it. For me, understanding my triggers was knowing when it comes to pain. I can't relate in the Chromathesia side, but I can relate when I say everything that is painful, other people's emotions, and them telling me their story about how they just broke their leg. I avoid it to an extent. I try to be there for my friends and for certain people. I try to be there, but I have to be very careful of what type of energy I allow, because I kind of put it on like a jacket
Yeah,
and
you
I carry it
carry it.
around with me. And trying to understand when that emotion is mine or not. I will cut a conversation short if I have to avoid being triggered, because I think I understand triggers differently. If someone wasn't an addict, when you're an addict, you start learning what your triggers are. It will be people, it will be places, it will be certain mannerisms, things that people say. And I would completely in certain instances, I'll completely zone myself out to avoid it completely. I can't. It's very rare. I visit with a lot of friends. When my friends come and visit, they usually come one by one. It's difficult for me to have two people in front of me and giving my attention to two people, and because I kind of sync with their emotions.
Wow.
When they leave, I could feel their energy stays with me. A lot of the times when someone was in a bad mood or sad or depressed or feeling a bit down, just needed encouragement, and they would come and visit me or phone me, I believe a hug it's a lot of energy that transfers when you give someone a hug. So when I give someone a hug, I transfer a lot of positive energy. When they leave, they feel really good.
Yeah.
Not necessarily for me, because we like magnetism. When something is charged with a negative and something is charged with a positive, and you put them next to each other, they transfer and equalize. And that's how we as humans are, exactly, because we do have so much energy. So when someone leaves and they had a bad energy, I keep some of it with me, kind of equalizes, but I give them a lot so they can equalize and feel better when they leave. So I avoid certain people specifically because their energy is way too much.
Wow.
Way too much. And it could also sometimes be a synesthete that may not even know that they are, because they can't manage their own energy at all. They're like all over the place.
Yeah, I avoid people that I don't like their voices. I'm not gonna talk to them. They're
Yeah,
sending
it
me
could be
voice
true.
messages. I'm not type. I'm telling them type it down. I'm not gonna. This is something
Yeah,
very interesting. Not just you, other synesthetes that I've spoken to. You're an extrovert. I can feel like you're an extrovert. I'm an
yes.
extrovert. I have no problem walking into a room and socializing with people, but we don't like this situation. If we could prefer it, it would be being with one person, maximum two, just like you said. But we cherish the time alone, being with ourselves and our consciousness. That's
Yeah.
interesting. That's interesting.
That's very interesting. I also realized I don't like, I was a musician. I still do music, but I've not been on stage in, I think, 12 years. Um, Being on stage was different than being in the crowd.
Mhm.
There was the energy. I was separated from the energy in a sense, the same way like I hate shopping. I hate shopping. I like having nice things, but I do not want to go to the mall. I don't want to walk in between so many people because the amount of energy, it is so much negative energy, because a lot of people, when you walk into a mall, I can feel the lack,
Wow.
the energy of lack. Everybody walking around there feeling like, I want, but I can't have it. Now I need to stretch my money. I need to stretch it I can feel it. So I avoid malls completely. It's just too much energy, too much negative energy. So when I have to go, I am in and I'm out. Even when it goes for grocery shopping, I'm in and I'm out. I don't like hanging around because I can feel so much when I'm drained. By the time I get home, if I wasn't in the mall for an hour and I get home, I would go to sleep. I would go lie down. My energy would be depleted completely.
Wow. Wow, this is incredible. This is so fascinating. I could relate to an extent. I feel like I am, correct me if I'm wrong. I think like a lot of people had told me that my energy is exhausting to them because I feel like I'm this ball of energy. I got so much energy. I wonder how you feel my energy. Do you feel this?
I feel your energy, but it's not an overwhelming energy for me. I think maybe I understand it. I've got one or two friends. They have the type of energy that when they walk into a room, no, if they would command everybody's attention by the way they speak, deep, loud voices and loud energy. You have a vibrant, radiant energy, not loud, which is
Mm.
different. I think maybe like you can taste or hear and you feel voices,
Yeah.
certain energies you can feel. It is a very loud and bombastic maybe energy, which is sometimes difficult for me to kind of deal with, because I like being kind of an equalizer, not be too far over or too far down. I want to be right in the middle and be kind of an equalizer. I don't know how to explain it, but I
No,
think you
you
get what I'm
explained it
saying.
just perfectly. You explained it just perfectly. Becoming an equalizer. That's amazing. I have a little bit, I have experience with music and editing music, so I know exactly what that means.
And it comes
Um,
to, it's like music. I love music. I think if it wasn't for music, I would have had a terrible childhood.
exactly the
Because
same way.
music was my sanctuary. That's where I went to when I needed peace. And I never really realized that was my way of transferring the negative energy I got, putting it into a song, you
Wow.
know, transferring it to something. And then that transference, it ended up being a really beautiful song. When you listen to it, you can feel the sadness. We experience it in music.
Yeah.
A lot. When we listen to music, I can feel what that person felt when he wrote that song. And sometimes it's so emotional. There's certain music I avoid completely. I don't listen to it because I would start crying. I think I haven't been able to completely sing a complete sad song in about 12 years, since my dad's death. I'm not really able now to sing a song that is sad, because the moment I start singing, I choke up, and I can't get a word out. So that's why you'll see my music for the last few years, it's been declining. Just here and there, you'll get a video of a song, and it's usually not a sad song. And if it was a sad song, it took me 100 tries just to get it done. So I'm kind of experiencing dealing with that type of emotional pain still. It's because I don't really understand yet. It's only been like 4 years now that I've been kind of reading and studying about, around mirror pain synesthesia, mirror touch synesthesia, which is, and now chromesthesia, which is mind blowing. Because yesterday I was watching the video, the podcast, and I was thinking to myself, that must be an experience.
Yeah.
I know what happens when I close my eyes. I see shapes and colors, and it's this fractal. Every time I close my eyes, other people say when they close their eyes, they see darkness. I do not see darkness.
You do not see darkness.
When I close my eyes, it is colorful, it is fractal and geometric shapes. That's what I see. So for me, closing my eyes is sometimes a bit distracting.
Yeah. For me to close my eyes, that's when I know I'm taking a break from this world. Don't interrupt me. It's the most soothing thing that I could experience throughout the day. And I find myself do that a lot. I just close my eyes. Because if I close my eyes, I can see the colors better. And this is also something that Dylan said. We come in and this is something, by the way, that any synesthete that I've spoken to so far would describe to be their, heaven, their bliss of the day. You went on in your book to talk about the neurological condition of synesthesia. And in my personal study, I would say that the one thing that exhausts me the most, other than other human beings, which they tend to be exhausting, it would be the sun. I feel like I'm super sensitive to the sun. It's too loud. Whenever I go outside, it's tiring my eyes, and I really need to take a break. And you said on the book that you've spoken about the amygdala, and that's true. The amygdala and the front cortex of our brain is what help us perceive situations and think of them, whether they were bad or negative, or experience pain there. And I think maybe each of our brains out there, it's not the same. Each of us have different, parts of the brain that are this size or that size. I think maybe you have an enlarged amygdala that forces you to feel another individual pain. It's like you see this neuron and that neuron, and then they want to connect. And this is how you feel it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you something. What would the perfect synesthete world would look like?
Wow. I think, I suppose from my point of view, an understanding world, because what it forced me to do is understand. Yeah. Try and understand. Even though if I'm not in your shoes, I have to be understanding, because I can feel something, and I don't like what I'm feeling, and I'm not even going through it. What must you feel like?
Yeah.
You're going through and you're feeling the pain. I'm just feeling that energy. So I think an understanding world, a world where people could have kind of just take a second and just, instead of being in the situation, observe it. Understand what that person is going through, even though you can't. Just put yourself out of your shoes into that person's shoes.
Yeah.
Distance yourself completely from your prejudices, because all our prejudices is linked to everything that we've been programmed.
Exactly.
And a lot of the times we're wrong. You know, I think maybe for me it's different because I'm now at a stage in my life when I see when we are in an argument and I get angry at you because you said or did something, I realize that my anger, when that anger at you is not at you. If I'm angry at me. If I am, do you understand what I'm trying to say?
Yes, I think, yeah.
You know, I'm more. I think this process has led me to believe specifically. I'm not sure of everybody, but with myself specifically, I kind of have to observe my emotion before I actually realize or believe it's mine. I have to observe it instead of being the character in the game that I realize I am. I have to put myself out. Say, all right, I'm the player. I can observe this emotion. Why am I feeling like this?
Yeah.
What made me feel? Was there even a trigger? Or am I just completely feeling someone else's emotion?
I think
So that,
consciously you are super developed, and this is something that synesthetes do, and they sort of like, there's me, this is the avatar, this is your avatar, but there's a player at the back of our head that knows that this is the avatar and is fully conscious about what's going on around them.
yes. And our programming is kind of, I call it programming because I suppose it's exactly that.
It's exactly this.
It causes certain patterns that you recognize. It forces patterns on you that you recognize that is not necessarily real.
Yeah.
And I could recognize it because there's certain patterns and emotions that I feel that is not real. My brain is telling me it's real. I'm feeling it, but it's not mine. So it forced me to become understanding of myself first, and then it helped me understand others, because understanding why I tick the way I tick, it made me be able to control more of what I say and how I react, because we are very reactive as human beings. You always feel like you have to react at something. You always feel like you have to. Someone said something, oh, you see that woman giving a child hiding in the grocery store, you feel like, hey, you can't, you feel like you have to, but you don't have to.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't realize that they don't have to react to everything they think, feel, or see. I had to do that for myself, because if I had to react every time I'm in pain this last 4 years, I would believe I'm depressed, but I'm not, because I realized what I'm feeling is it's not real. My brain is telling me I'm feeling it, but it's not mine.
Yeah. I think when it comes to synesthesia, I would experience it. You said perfectly well. I cannot I'm not supposed to focus on that. And my brain is doing that perfectly well. It gives me so much other things to focus on, whether it's the
Yeah.
sun right now that's being loud, or it's the music that I hear. But then again, I really try to pay attention to the person who's speaking to me. But it's like it goes through me and it goes out. I don't let it
Yeah.
linger on, and sometimes people, that's what they do. I think synesthetes have a high level of consciousness to their
Yes.
surrounding. It's not just other human beings which take the main, focus of our surrounding. It's
Yes.
if when we isolate ourselves, that's the perfect time to experience ourselves to the fullest and how we perceive this reality. Not just that, you have a lot of plants around you. I believe you can, at a level, feel their energy and know exactly what they feel like. And it's not just that. And it's this when the brain is combining everything, it's like it's between, inside all the chaos, we somehow find balance. And this is something Taoism, which is a Chinese philosophy, are speaking of, the Tao, the way of the Tao, remaining at peace, zen, while life is being an equivalent to a sea, and we have to remain calm even if there's storm. And it's such a, you know, a high thing, a high mysticism and high spirituality, but we get to experience that when it comes to mundane things.
Absolutely. Actually, silence, absolutely. To me, like you said yesterday, silence is it's not quiet.
No,
And I silence
very loud.
isn't quiet. Silence to us is also a sound. And what is strange for me is I grew up with music. I used to study with music, but for the last 5 years, it is impossible. I can't focus with music in the background. I have to have it absolutely dead silent for me to focus. And I think for me, meditation, because I struggle, having ADD, not thinking, it feels near impossible. But the objective is not thinking. For me to kind of meditate, I have to go sit outside, take my shoes off, feel the grass under my feet. I stay right next to the river. So I just walk down, sit by the river, my feet on the grass, close my eyes, and listen to all the sounds that don't mean anything.
Wow.
Bird, the river. To the seemingly useless sounds. They're not useless, but that takes you completely out of where you used to think. You listen, but just listening, not interacting or reacting, just listening to your breath or to your heart. You don't have to think of anything. You don't have to manifest. I believe in manifestation. I believe it is something that constantly happens. Like I said, it's like perpetually creating your reality. The more you say it, the more it happens. The more you believe it, the more it happens. And if you understand, oh, okay, my belief system is completely conditioned by what other people believe, and I realize that is not how it's supposed to be. This is how it's supposed to be. We need to be able to listen, because more often times than not, when you listen, the answer comes automatically.
Yeah. I wanted to say something before I forget it. You talked about meditation, and I think meditation is probably one of the best ways to know if you have synesthesia or not, because we cannot just sit there like this and not think about anything. That's not going to happen. I during my lectures about synesthesia, I get a lot of people from the audience that would show up to me and tell me, like, I cannot meditate. I see colors and shapes flying towards me. And I've said this to the meditation instructor, and they tell, like, okay, you're hallucinating. These things don't exist. And I'm like, no, you have synesthesia. These things exist. You're just experiencing nature as it revolves around you, which you wouldn't do when you're talking to people, driving on your way to work, standing in the traffic, and you have to be alerted by the existence of other humans around you. So meditation, it's the perfect way of knowing if you have synesthesia. And the perfect way to do meditation is focusing on your surrounding and not this little voice or inside of you. It's like being one with nature, which is this. Nature is loud, and we are allowed to.
Exactly. And nature is also part of our consciousness. It is all just unencumbered energy. It's all just energy.
Yeah, birds are talking. There's communication between them. Plants, flowers are talking with each other. The bees know their way towards the flower.
Specifically water. For some reason, water has always been soothing, because water, its molecular structure can restructure itself, which is very interesting to me. So I like being close to water. I'm a Cancerian. I'm a crab. So I'm a water sign. For some reason, it's just I need to always be close to water, and it always soothes me. For some reason, just listening to water running soothes me completely.
Me too. I'm also into astrology, and I have a lot of, I'm an Aquarius, but I have a lot of water placement in me, and yes, I have like this tiny fountain in my house, and I connect it to the plug, and I'm listening to,
Yeah.
water flowing, and it's just amazing. But there's another thing I wanted to talk to you about, and then it leads me to the next part of your book, which is being properly diagnosed. But if there's a thing that I could say about, if I bring this concept from Taoist philosophy, is that we need to be letting go when the storm comes. We're becoming a part of the storm. We're not going to be calm in the sea. We join the storm, and we know we will be back. We will, at some point in the future, we will be calm again. The water will be calm again after the storm. If there's something that I did when I first discovered synesthesia, is that I could have just, put a wall between me and my synesthesia. And there's a lot of synesthetes here that I have said I cannot focus with sound. Sound would drive me mad. Music, specific music would drive me mad. Even music that I really like, I cannot listen to it on full volume. And this is something very synesthetic, because there's something in your eyes that is receiving the colors would be distracted. In my case, what I did is that I completely let go and let this shower me. I wonder what will happen if you completely let go and let the pain shower you completely, because I believe that individuals like you would be able to track the course of the pain, what part of the brain is sending that message to feel pain, and how it hits specific organ. This is why mirror touch individuals can be amazing doctors, can be amazing healers. You understand pain on a level that helps you to soothe others, but with the technology that we have today, you will probably be able to cure and immediately understand how, it's like a little map with dots and lines. Here to here to there to this, and you just look at a person. As you go, the pain would be able to, you'll be accustomed to feeling pain. This is something interesting. Researchers show that synesthete people experience pain, they're more, they have high endurance to pain, high resistance, because we imagine the pain before we experience it, and then we experience it, then it's not so impact upon us. But if you were able to manifest that feeling, I think as you go with practice, you will make perfect. Because to all synesthetes out there, once you realize you have synesthesia, you need to focus on it, because this is how you maintain it, control it, and manifest it to anything that you want to be. So let's go back to the proper diagnosis. And you have suggested a lot of ways to diagnose, specifically with mirror touch and pain synesthesia. What ways you think are most relevant to be properly diagnosed with this condition?
It's difficult to say, because to be honest, I have never been to a doctor to have myself diagnosed. It is difficult around here just to find the right type of person, affordable, to get these type of diagnoses. And it's not always, I suppose, applicable to everybody, but it is always advisable to speak to some type of professional, whether it's a psychologist or a neurologist, to maybe understand whether it is just a synesthesia, or maybe there's something else. I've been in a car accident, got a scar here that's healed very nicely. If you see, there's a scar right there. So I need the windscreen. So whether it increased my sensitivity or not is difficult to say. But it is advisable to actually speak to a professional to kind of see maybe there could be other causes. You can really never really know for sure without actually speaking to a professional. Self-diagnosing, it's good, but do a lot of research, a lot of due diligence, and speak to people, speak to other synesthetes. I think it's always easier, and it's much easier to get connected to other synesthetes and understand, okay, so I'm not going crazy. I'm actually experiencing exactly the same thing. And then everybody in the synesthete community, there's so much information there. Some people have spoken to doctors, some haven't. But it's a good, your platform is a good place to start for people to reach out to each other, especially on your group. It's important for people to connect and realize, what, there is a support system, and there is enough information that we can talk about it and see, maybe this is relevant for me. Maybe I need to go see a doctor. Maybe I need to go see a neurologist.
Yeah.
But it's always good to just have someone you can phone, a synesthete, and say, listen, I know you don't know me, but I'm experiencing a few things that's really confusing me and scaring me. I don't know how to deal with it. Where can I go? Who can I speak to get the ball rolling, maybe get a little bit more understanding before you kind of completely lose yourself?
If there's something that it has been repeated by other synesthetes, like it's finding your safe net, that it would be other people, other individuals that you could confide with and talk to about the situation. I was blessed to be a person that synesthete would talk to me, and I'm a person that people feel that it's absolutely comfortable to confide with anything. But when I was little, that person was my family. We are all synesthetes. My mother is a synesthete. My brothers are synesthetes. And if there's something that I could say, I think my mom has a strong mirror touch synesthesia. When I was a little girl, I was so moved emotionally by an opening song of one of the cartoons that I would watch before I'd go to school. And one time they really had a sad story on that cartoon, and they added this sad music, and I just started crying instantly. And I was like maybe 5 years old, and my mother she felt me. She immediately came over. She said, "Why are you crying?" She felt she had an anxiety. I was crying because I was moved, but she had an anxiety. And she's like, "Why are you crying?" And I'm like, "It's the story and the music." And she's like, "Don't cry and don't watch this show ever again." And I think my mother has mirror touch synesthesia. And the first thing you want to do to protect your child is like, don't experience this ever again. She felt my pure pain that I had. And I wonder, maybe if your father, you said he was hard, but he was protecting himself because he fell to an extent and he couldn't help you because he knew exactly what you feel like. My mother cannot take away the way that we see the world. And imagine how many people have difficulties in going to sleep. And I tell you right now, if you're a synesthete, you will never have sleep. Your consciousness is always awake. No doctor in the world could give you any pill that would make your consciousness go to sleep. And this is the surrounding that we need to learn how to work with it. And of course, if my mom knew that she and I had synesthesia, she would change her anxiety to empathy and would hug me. She would do exactly what you said you would do. She would hug me and she would send this warm embrace and feeling of safety towards me. But at that point, she became anxious. Yeah,
my dad was the one that, even though he was my dad was very large, very big man, over 6 foot. And when he hugged me, like you said, you felt safe. So even though he was a very hard man, he was, when he hugged me, that was the safest I ever felt in my life.
Wow.
It is really interesting that you actually said that now. Really interesting.
I think he had the same synesthesia that you had, but he never knew about it or knew how to use the right words, especially as men. Men, I think synesthete men really need to
They've got the stigma, you can't be emotional. Cowboys don't cry.
Boys don't cry, boys don't talk, boys don't share. This is something girls do, but no, synesthete men, you feel the world like we have to. This is a way of cleaning ourselves.
Absolutely. I think in our day and age now specifically, it's changing. When my dad grew up, he went to the army.
Yeah.
You know, they had camaraderie between him and his friends and people with him that was in the army with him. But sharing, you know, two brothers, my dad and his brothers, they weren't close. You know, my brother and I, my two brothers and I, we're really close, like really, really close. And today, I think men are more inclined to share with a friend. It's still difficult. There's still the stigma, you know, you can't be an emotional, you know, leave it for the women. But men are sometimes more emotional than they would ever admit.
Yeah.
They just know really well how to shut it off, switch it off, or maybe just pack it in a box, shove it at the back, you know, and deal with it at another time when you're completely alone and drunk.
Yeah.
So that's very unfortunate. But yeah, we're in a day and age now, especially synesthete men. This is the right platform, Chromatic Minds. You know, this is I'm so glad to have found you on Facebook.
Oh.
When I saw it, I was like, follow, like, and I'm so glad because it will give a platform for men specifically to start talking about these type of emotions and stuff that they feel, because you're not crazy.
No.
You're not crazy. You know, you're not damaged. I hear it so often when people say, "Oh, I'm damaged." It's wrong. You're not damaged.
I want
You're not damaged.
to say that I think I am blessed that people like you saw my energy and like, I want to communicate with that. This is humbling for me. This is not something that I ever imagined that I get to meet these beautiful synesthetes that we have. Maybe in the future we would make like, you know, a synesthete festival where we'll all get together and meditate
Yes,
together. That could be so
yes,
powerful.
that would be awesome.
Could be
That would be
amazing.
amazing. That would be really amazing. That would be
We
really,
need to
really amazing.
manifest it. You and I, our vision could make this come to life, I think.
Absolutely, I believe it. I believe it. You know, just speaking about it is already the first part.
And
I'm
seeing
absolutely,
people that they get you. It's like we have the same collective consciousness. We get each other. You know, over the
yeah,
years, like I said before, when we talked, like I said, not recorded, but at first synesthesia was considered as, it's still considered as a neurological disorder. But now it's like in the past 10 years, they've changed it. It's like it's a neurological disorder, but one that those who have it are not suffering. And they can possess superpowers when they just develop this condition that we have. So I think it's, if there's
absolutely.
something that synesthete, once they, you know, get through the breach that it's not, I'm not damaged, I'm the other way around, the thing you can accomplish. Wow, 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 wow. Our
Absolutely,
brain
absolutely. I mean,
has endless possibilities. It really,
it was amazing yesterday watching that video, that the podcast you had with Dylan. You know, that synesthesia, you know, in the way that he has it, helps him create better music.
yeah.
To me, that cannot be a disorder or a damaged brain. To me, that is a hyper developed. I think
Yeah.
that's like it's like something your brain extra developed, like an extra sense, which makes everything that you can do better,
Yeah.
not worse.
Yeah. At first, the thing is that at first when I started learning about synesthesia in my brain, I thought to myself, like, this is the next stage in humanity. We're witnessing something evolutionary happening to us. Because, you know, we've got the right hemisphere and the left hemisphere, but in our perception, there's no right and no left. It's one unit. And
Exactly.
that is insane. If there's another thing that I'd like to discuss about, but I'll do it probably as a monologue. Sir Francis Galton, that would be either, if I'm not mistaken, or the nephew or the cousin of Charles Darwin. Back at the 18th century, he's the one who developed this whole concept called epigenic, creating advanced human civilization. And he's the guy that we can thank the term synesthesia to. He engraved this term. So,
Wow.
yeah, so you're like, wait, the more I learn about my condition, the more I realize that it's a gift. It's a gift
Absolutely.
that we need to detect. One day you will get married and you will have children. And as a synesthete father, you'll know exactly when your child is experiencing their own pain or mirroring you. And you'll
Yes.
tell them exactly, you have my mirror pain synesthesia. And I think you got chromesthesia as well. And we can create, because the most beautiful music in the world is the one that you feel the melancholy in it.
Yes, absolutely.
Synesthetes all over the
Absolutely.
world resonate with that. And synesthetes all over the world are creating this music. So many
Yes.
gifted and wonderful individuals were influencing everything around us.
Yes,
When it comes to music,
absolutely.
when it comes to energy, Nikola Tesla, I will say it again. Nikola Tesla had a chromesthesia and he could see frequencies. This is how it was
Yeah.
easier for him to create electricity and see it.
Oh man, that's actually amazing. That's really amazing.
Yeah.
I think
What would you say? So synesthesia, is it a blessing or a curse?
oh, it's absolutely a blessing. If you don't understand it, if you don't understand it, you'll have to speak to someone, you know, and then you'll realize there's nothing wrong with you. You're blessed. You're blessed with something very unique. Only a few people in the world actually have this. Few percent, like how much did you say? 4 to 6% of the world.
Yeah, 2 to 4% of the world. There's not a lot of
3 to
us,
4% of the world. It's
but they're
amazing.
shaping, they are definitely shaping humanity. Mozart was a synesthete. Vladimir Nabokov, Vasily Kandinsky, and the way he created, they're everywhere, and they're, you know, just taking art to an advanced form.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
In your book, you talk a lot about being mindfulness. Um, what is your daily routine as a mirror touch pain synesthesia with you know, going through mindfulness session right now? This is something that people would, you know, dedicate the time to, and you have to do it on a daily basis, like throughout the day.
For me, I suppose for every person, they've got their own way of being mindful. My mindfulness, I suppose, when I wake up in the morning, when it comes to my girlfriend, I have to make everything has to be as comfortable for her in her transition to get her day started. So my day starts making sure her day can start well. So when I'm mindful first of myself, I sit up straight in bed and tell myself this is going to be an amazing day, and I'm thankful, very thankful. And it's just something I've only started doing in the last 2 years. When I wake up in the morning, doesn't matter how I feel, I have to give myself the chance, take a deep breath, and say, all right, so it's not yesterday, it's not tomorrow. This is a brand new day, and I'm grateful. I'm very grateful. And then I make coffee.
How often do you feel your surrounding? Because sometimes the universe, I don't know, I feel it. I live in the Middle East, I live in Israel, and sometimes the universe is sending a really bad frequency towards my direction. And I could feel earthquake before they happened, like the one that was in Turkey, which took a lot of life. I felt it. I knew something bad is about to happen. And I didn't feel it because I am, you know, a medium or a psychic. I just saw the frequency, the colors were different. The birds were singing differently. The plants, they all knew. They know because they're connected to the core of the universe, if I could explain it this way. But I can feel it. Sometimes the frequency is higher than the way we can protect ourselves. Do you experience it too?
Sometimes I do. Sometimes I do. Sometimes I do. I kind of, you know, especially my brother stays in America. So when things happen, especially around America, and you watch the news and you watch everything on TikTok, I have to constantly remind myself, listen, you can't make, because when it comes to all of this stuff, you have to be specifically mindful towards yourself, allowing yourself to see all these things and taking it in, making something out of it inside here and in here gives it more energy.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I have to constantly draw back of what I see and not to let it control how I experience my day. It's constantly, I have to be vigilant, not allowing certain stimuli to go through my ears and my eyes, because we're in a hyper intensive stimulating society right now. It's stimuli everywhere. So it makes it's like it's the worst time in the world to be a synesthete because the stimulus is so overwhelming. The only place you can find any quiet is in your room when you shut everything off. You leave your phone outside. So, and that's even impossible because everybody's got their phones, TVs. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. It's always shiny, glittery lights, and it is quite overwhelming. So you have to constantly draw back. You know, in our country, South Africa, a lot of things happen.
Yeah.
You know, and a lot of times they say it's dangerous, it's the crime is high, and I have to constantly remind myself all of that it doesn't mean anything to me when it comes to that energy, because if I make it mean more to me, I give it more energy. So I have to constantly say, you know what, I love my country. I love the freedom that we have. I am grateful. I am so grateful. I wouldn't want to be anywhere else. There was a time I wanted to stay in the Netherlands. It was my dream to move back to Groesbeek before they changed Groesbeek to, I can't remember what they changed it to. And I wanted to move back. Now I don't. Now I'm more grateful to be a South African than I've ever been in my life.
That's beautiful. That's
You
beautiful.
know?
I think you would agree. I think I like to ask on this podcast every synesthete, what's the perfect world would be like? And they say, okay, definitely less building around, a lot more nature around,
Yeah.
and people, you know, just respecting others like in a way that I think maybe in the future when if we will able have like a huge synesthete gathering, we would be able to know exactly at that moment how close we need to stand to each other, how exactly we need to be away or close enough to each other. But I think as synesthete, we do know how to find this moment of zen in the middle of all the chaos, and this is something that people take years to achieve. For
Yes.
synesthetes, the self evaluation, the self healing, the recognition of the condition that we have it happens quite quickly. But yeah, and it's this pure and simple sense of being happy exactly with who you are and where you're at. The surrounding doesn't matter. It's just how we feel ourselves, and there's a lot to be proud of.
Absolutely. So much to be grateful for. I think when when I get a down day, I believe you have to have your ups and downs. That's just frequency. There has to be highs and there has to be lows.
Yeah.
Otherwise you're dead. You know, otherwise it's flatline. You have to have the ups and downs. When my downs come, I have to kind of just remind myself, all right, it's a down day and you are just human. Allow yourself to feel this for now. Feel it. You know, don't just pack it away. Feel it. Acknowledge it. And then observe it, you know, understand why you're feeling it, and then let it go. Let it pass, like you said, let it pass through you. You know, don't resist it. The more you resist it, the worse it is for you. You know, the worse it is for you. You need to kind of just allow it to just go through you, like you said. It is much less traumatic, you know, specifically for me, much less traumatic if I just allow that to happen. You know, if when I see someone get hurt, I cringe immediately. And when I felt that, I just have to just calm down and let it be and just chill. All right, the pain will subside and be gone in a few seconds. So I think everything in life, not everything passes in a few seconds, you know, and
Yes,
we're not in the perfect world yet.
I would say that for me now, the perfect world would be if I could just duplicate more people like you, because this is exactly what we need. I think people had lost touch with themselves. And the fact that society looks the way that it looks right now, it's because they have also lost touch with each other. And as synesthetes,
Yes.
we pay attention to your every detail. If I experience people's voices in a way that is either likable or not likable, usually if there's someone that I don't like their voice, it would also come with a really inconvenient character. And we need to be aware of that, and aware when someone is feeling uncomfortable, or at least prepare ourselves to
Yeah.
be comfortable individuals. This is something that I've asked a different synesthete, and I find myself sometimes that I tend to be like I want everyone to feel comfortable, and especially the people that I love. I always make sure that the surrounding is comfortable, that we have I don't know, if I know what you like, then I'll get that for you. Next time you come for a visit, I'll prepare your favorite meal. It's something that's
My
a part of my
girlfriend calls me the king of comfort. My girlfriend calls me the king of comfort.
character.
She doesn't need to want for anything. When she sees her cup is empty, I'd fill it. She doesn't need to ask me. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah.
when I can see she's looking for somewhere to put her feet, I'll just go fetch it. She doesn't have to ask me. And she's like, "How do you know it? How do you know that's what I wanted?" And sometimes I just don't know. I suppose being mindful for people around me specifically,
Now you
because I
feel
know
it.
because I kind of know how they feel in a way,
Sometimes,
So
sometimes I think like you, I would say that you feel that their muscles want to move towards that object, and then you bring closer because your mind caught on that faster than theirs.
yeah, yes, it's strange. It's strange.
Strange.
Um, it is. Yeah, there's so much different nuances, different small things that you can't always pinpoint them, and then but when you start realizing at the moment certain things happen, you're like, damn, that was a really synesthete thing to do. Very typical for a synesthete to do.
Yeah.
And I realize that a lot. Sometimes I have to stop myself from assuming that I know how someone feels.
Hmm.
It is difficult to understand what someone is going through. I can only understand my pain. So I have to sometimes stop myself and say, all right, you're feeling this, but you don't know what they're going through.
Mm-hmm.
So just judging them upon what they feel and what they say, I have to stop myself because, although I feel certain things, I don't really know what they're actually feeling. There's only certain things that I feel. So I have to kind of just be very careful, not assume that, oh, I know how you feel and this is what you must do. Sometimes I just have to listen, be quiet, and hug and say, you know what, it's a bad day. Tomorrow is going to be a
I
better day.
think I think my body language is now really anxious to tell you that, and you probably know what I'm about to say. I think that you do know what they feel like, and the more you focus on it, the more you'll be precise. Because I feel you, man. You're spot on. I think you know exactly. This is a part of your superpower. It's like truly being psychic. It's like I've spoken to Dylan about this. Sometimes people look for the word they want to say, and they can't. The brain is not, giving the action to say it out loud, but they see it projected here, and you're like, okay, I read the word, and I'm saying this to them. Your brain does exactly this. I believe that when you know how people feel, they don't need to talk. You know exactly what they feel. If there's something about us as human beings, it's our non-verbal communication that speaks louder at the end of the day in comparison to what we actually say. And you were born
Yeah,
with this gift. I think the more you focus on it, even though it could be difficult, it's like for me, if you tell me Smada from now on, you only have to converse with people that have disgusting voices. And I will have to just sit
that's,
there. But at the end
that's
of
going
the
to be
day,
difficult.
yeah, but at the end of the day, I would know how to tell them, stop doing this. If you
Okay.
start thinking in this way, your voice would be brighter and it wouldn't taste this way.
It,
It
it would
can taste
change, yes.
good.
Absolutely, absolutely. I believe that. I believe that completely. I believe that completely. It's weird, actually. I think when you mentioned it, it developing it for me started watching in movies. It's weird, but the moment the movie started, I could predict exactly what would happen. I could say that is the murderer. That person is innocent.
Yeah.
When I watch FBI, when I watch what's its name, Chicago PD, that and I know that's not even real. What I'm watching is not real. It's a program. For some reason, I can feel it. I can feel it, and I'm 99.9% of the time I'm right.
Mm-hmm.
And it's weird because also other things that bothers me is the small things that is wrong in the movie. You know, I see mistakes. I can't not see it. Sometimes it annoys me to a point that I can't finish a movie because I can see all the inconsistencies, which bothers me, which makes me judgmental. And that's something I have to also work on. It's like, okay, can't judge the situation completely.
It's
But
very
yeah, that kind of did help me develop kind of feeling something before it happens, kind of feeling it in a way. But not like you. And I suppose as a synesthete, we also connect with people much deeper.
Mm-hmm.
When you have spoken to someone, you've taken interest in how they feel. You mentally, your subconscious, you're connected to them, and you get a feeling or a thought of that person, and you feel that you have to phone them. Now, a lot of people feel that you don't necessarily need to be a synesthete, but for a synesthete, if you think about them,
And they call you.
they're thinking about you.
Exactly.
And
Exactly. Happens to
vice
me all the
versa.
time.
It happens to me all the time. I was
If I
watching this one program.
if
No,
I
you
can
go first.
if I can even say this to all synesthetes out there, once I wrote that post, I was finding you guys. I was like, I want them to come to me. And
And
it's
I did.
happening.
We
I
all
just
did.
I think about it. I was sorry that I disrupt, but think about it. There's only 2 to 4% of us in the world, and look at how many beautiful individual I've got to meet so far. This is
That's
insane.
amazing. That
This
is insane. That's really awesome. That is really awesome. If I believe, like the Bible talks about the power of prayer, but to me, the power of community, when more than one person, when they gather, and the thought patterns, that energy, when it sinks, the amount of energy and power that will be in that area, I think that's why the festival has to happen.
it
I
has.
think it will be a major breakthrough for a lot of synesthetes to attend something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, and the more you focus on this skill that you have, the more it's and I know people call it today manifesting. You want to manifest success, but this is like it's a non-verbal messages that arise from our head to the individuals that we want to connect with. If they have an emotion to us, they would hear it and they're like, oh, I'm gonna pick up I will send this text message to Peter now and ask him how he feels. The more we focus on this, the more we become better at this, the more we can influence other people. I think what's beautiful about synesthete is that their motives are never negative. They don't want to harm other
Yes.
people. They only want to do good. They only want to do well. They only want to make humanity prosper. I mean, just think about Nikola Tesla specifically. How many people try to get in his way for doing exactly what? Look at this. We can communicate with each other. We don't need to excavate coal mines, which is so damaging to Earth. And we can rely on the energy from the sun. And how many people try to get in that way of not letting him do that? And he never stopped. He was like, no, I'll rewrite what I thought about. I'll rewrite it. And thanks to that, we have this free energy that we have. We have Wi-Fi. We're able to communicate with each other this way.
I can just imagine the type of world we would have been living in if he was actually to bring everything that he thought to fruition, everything, all the, if synesthetes back then knew what they were and what they had, connected with so many other different types of minds and energies, I think we would be in a much different world, in a world where coal would never be mined, because we wouldn't need it. We wouldn't need entertainment. We wouldn't need all the how can I say, all the unnecessary stimuli. We wouldn't need it because it's not fulfilling. It's like it's a replacement. It doesn't fix the problem. It's like medicine that only helps for the symptoms, but it doesn't cure the problem. It doesn't fix the problem. It's not fulfilling. It doesn't help you at all.
No.
Not in the long run, at least.
You're absolutely right.
I think it would be such a great world, but it's not too late for us to have a world like that. It starts with, like, specifically this, Chromatic Minds starts with this, 10 years down the line, we'd look back and say, can't believe something grew this much. We didn't know how many we were, saying 2 to 4%, that could be a few million people. How awesome would that be? How awesome would that be?
Yeah, and I think that if this could influence other synesthetes also to want to talk, to want to share, and do exactly what you did, because when I also decided, okay, I'm gonna write a book, but if there's something that I could say about other books that I've read before, is that they focus only on the three main types of synesthesia, which is chromesthesia, visualized space, and taste synesthesia. But there's over 80 types. In my brain, I was like, there's so much more types to it. And as a synesthete with strong chromesthesia, I'm never gonna be able to experience what you experience. But I want to hear your voice, because as a synesthete, I think I'm probably the only person in the world that can see what you feel in colors and relate to that. And not only that, I thought to myself,
Wow.
if he feels me this way, then I need to have a good vibe. I need to have good energy, because I want this person to feel good too. It's like it's just like you said, paying attention, really looking at each other, not just in a shallow way of looking at each other.
Yeah, completely immersed.
Completely
Because
immersed.
people don't immerse. They are so, they don't want to get too close. They want to share too much. It's strange, like you said just now. People have this tendency to feel like they could open up to you about anything. The other day, someone told me, why am I telling you this? He's like, I'm telling you all of this. I don't even know you. I said, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. And that is awesome, which I think, which is going to be a great tool, especially in the years to come, being able to make people feel like they could come and talk to you, making people feel comfortable enough to share and feel free, And also another thing, you said something like you must have this energy. I feel like I have to say it. You don't need to carry any of that, but you are. You don't need, but you are that positive energy. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, of course I understand.
I don't know. The word need is such a, I struggle with the word need. It's a lacking word.
It's a lacking word.
And your subconscious kind of will reflect that you need it, and you don't need. You are. You are that energy. You are it because you're a synesthete. You just are.
I am that energy. Wow. This
if you think about it as a kid, as a child, people didn't need to make you happy when you're 4 years old, 3 years old. You were just happy, laughing and smiling. Why? Because that energy, that's your default setting. That's who you are by default. That's why chasing things that you think will make you happy draws you away from what your default is. It draws you away from your default. That's why it will never make you happy, because you already are happiness. You already have that, or that energy.
Yeah, the default of being happy. I know that my zodiac of Aquarius is like also being characterized as the eternal child, but they're also very sophisticated. But I am like I'm mostly behaving like a child, excited like a child, and I think we never need to lose that. We always must go hand in hand with the child that we are and the adult that we are today. It's a conscious
Yeah.
thing. It's all timelines together.
Yes.
It
I
is.
love the fact that you said child because that the thought that, you know, everything is, when you're a kid, everything is still magical. And then you get programmed that magic does not exist. But the truth is, we are magical. This is magical. There's not, it's magic is just another, it's just another, to me, it's just another word. But what we have is very magical. Human beings, we are magical beings. We've got this way of connecting sometimes, even people that aren't synesthetes have this way of connecting with people just in thought, sometimes just in heart. Sometimes you don't even realize it. It happens all around us. We just get bombarded so much with all the negativity that you don't see all the amazing things that's actually happening around us. We were so conditioned by the media, if I can say it like that, you know.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I could not agree more. You're absolutely right. And I would like to encourage you to create more music because as a synesthete, the people that manage to touch me, my emotion the most are individuals like you that feel, that knows that this has to connect in the right way. Because it's heavenly when once you do that, it becomes heavenly. And music heals, frequency heal. Tesla, when he was stopped from doing what he did, he wanted to create frequencies that would heal certain diseases, illnesses, even cancer. And today on, we were like, oh, too bad he didn't manage to do that. No, I think synesthetes among us know exactly how to do it, whether it's our voice, choosing the right voice to talk to each other,
Yeah.
whether it's the right embrace you give to each other, or the music that you create.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'll send you my link to Spotify, to SoundCloud, because I do have a few music on there. Very, very old few songs, I think about 5, maybe 10 years old, some of them. But yeah, I'm getting back into music. You know, it's been a while, but it is a great outlet. It's a very great way to kind of transfer that energy, whatever energy it is, a great way to transfer it.
Yeah, amazing. And not just obviously music, also arts too. I really enjoy looking at art because the
God,
colors, the
can
colors.
you see that when I painted?
Yeah.
It's too dark. Can you see the flower that I painted?
Yeah, is that a
God,
moonflower?
let me go get it.
Wow. Beautiful. What's the name of this flower? I think it's called
St. Joseph's lily, uh, calla lily.
Kala. Yeah, we also say Kala. I love this flower.
Calla lily, yeah.
Why did you choose the Kala?
My girlfriend, it's her favorite flower.
Mm.
I've painted a bunch of different things. I like painting nature stuff, but before I realized I had synesthesia, my paintings were very dark. I've got one in the back, but it's very dark. And we're looking back at it now, I kind of understood what I was painting now. Back then, I was just thinking, yo, dude, you're weird. But I wasn't weird. I was just kind of learning to be myself. I think that's what we all kind of learn, to be ourselves.
You'll let it be.
We all have this tendency to think like, I hate my past. I could have made better decisions. And yes, that's all true. But was it not for all of it, you would not be who you are right now.
Exactly.
You would not have an open mind the way that you are. You wouldn't understand yourself or the people around you the way that you do right now. You wouldn't understand life the way that you do right now. So I am grateful. I am grateful. Obviously, all of us could have made better decisions. Some decisions could have been better, but I'm grateful, specifically that I could be here, that I survived all my bad decisions, and I can now kind of share, my experience in a way that helps people. I think when I stopped, before I wrote the book Mirror Touch Synesthesia, I wrote a book, How to Quit Meth for Good. That was my very first book. And I felt this need for people to know that you are worth so much more.
Yeah.
I don't usually talk about the future. I talk about now, today, because now is the only thing that really matters and really exists, is this now. But a lot of things has changed since that first book. I would never have been able to write a book to teach people how to quit meth without going to rehab. I would have never been able to do that if I weren't an addict.
Yeah. Exactly.
And so my experience, if I could get through it and I can come out a better man on the other side of it, it could change more lives than just mine. And that's the same reason I wrote the Mirror Touch Synesthete book. And the third book, The Mind, the Mouth, and the Gratitude Theory. I don't know if you saw my link tree on Facebook. And so to me, your mind and your mouth, gratitude, all of that it is such powerful tools. We've got no idea how much we control our existence by our belief, our mindsets, and the things that we proclaim with our mouth. Like I said yesterday, like self-fulfilling prophecies. Yeah. We have to, especially synesthetes, we have to be careful, not say things in anger, not do things in anger,
True.
To allow yourself to feel and calm down before you say anything, So, sorry, I'm saying, so
we were talking about, just sending like a message to someone to call me. And sometimes I'm thinking to myself, I wish that person wouldn't call me. And they do. And then I know I can only blame myself because I benefited.
It happens a lot.
Happens a lot. Don't think about it. Sometimes when I'm thinking about people, I wish they don't call me now. And I'm like, don't think about it because they will.
Yeah, no, that happens a lot.
And I know I asked you before if you think that it's a curse or a blessing, but I want to say that I think, Pieter, that you are a blessing. If I really,
you're a blessing.
You're a blessing. If I could duplicate you, you're amazing. The way that you find also, you want to give, you're telling people, I went through some difficult things, but I found a way to work through it, and I'm giving you the tools. This is beautiful. This is such a gift to humanity. It really is.
It is, and I appreciate it so much. I'm so grateful for us. I'm so grateful. I always say, I can't change people. I can't help them in the way that a lot of people want to be helped. But I can tell them what helped for me, and they can help themselves. You just really need to believe you're worth it.
Yeah.
And you're a blessing. You've got no idea what Chromatic Minds means to me specifically. Just knowing that there's a platform, knowing that there's a place where we can talk about, I think it's just amazing. You're a blessing. Absolutely.
Oh, you're a blessing too. Maybe in the future we can collaborate and, talk with more synesthetes together. That would be amazing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely.
So thank you, Pieter, so much for, just contacting me, and I got to meet the beautiful individual that you are. Thank you so much.
Madar, you're an amazing person. Thank you so much for inviting me. Thank you for this platform. Thank you out of my heart. Thank you so much for the research that you're doing and the work you put in. The amount of work that you've put in just before you even started this, I appreciate it really a lot. Thank you so much.
I appreciate you. So until next time with Chromatic Minds.
Until next time.
Until next time. Bye-bye.